Well, welcome on the march. Yours truly, Rainbow Dragon artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist. It's time for the Republic, it's time for the Republic. For the 13 plus the 50. The kingdom, dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. Territory Northwest, 1870. 1896, 1942. Alberta, 1905, Saskatchewan, 1905, 1873, 1871, and Manitoba, 1879, then 1867 for the New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, 1867, Ontario, 1867, Quebec, 1867, and this is the Confederation. The monument was built as a centennial project by the 3rd Field Naval Engineer Regiment of the Royal Canadian Engineers in the city of Westmont, 17th of October, 1967. Today, May 7th. Time for the Republic. The King is absent. The King is absent. My brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, rock and roll, for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. The King is absent. We have an absentee landlord, absentee landlord, absentee landlord, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Pledge your allegiance, legions, the 13, 10 provinces, 3 territories, plus the 50. For the dream, the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, and yes, it's the Dragon versus Trump edition. Have been him and will challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. Ever since the imposition of tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back in 2018 on the backpack, in the backpack inside. The backpack got those red gloves gifted by my anonymous friend, and it wasn't my friend because of the money, because I didn't have any even now. Look at those beautiful flowers. Even now, financially stressed, but paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and here I am, rock and roll 24/7 for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, factory workers, warehouse workers, construction workers, the butchers, the plumbers, the electricians, the welder. Got to get on that rock and roll with them, and that's all we got to get doing on the go. So that is what we have to be doing, you know. So for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and the firefighters, the plumbers, and all those electricians on the road, the truckers driving a little bit of that good, and the youth who made some LOV. And I got a lemonade. It was a bit pricey, but I said I'm gonna budget because it was to raise funds for the children, the children and the youth. So I said children first, and that's gonna be that rock and roll, you know, because they're innocent, and as we're on the verge of a potential nuclear conflict, you know, as I have predicted back in 2019, it's possible that a nuclear conflagration begins May 18th. It's possible. So in the next 11 days, we might see a nuclear conflagration, you know, because of course the Pakistan and India situation is taken to an escalation, and it has escalated. So we might see a nuclear armed conflict possibility on the horizon now. You know, I've been living in a World War III zone type of mode since 2019. If you don't know what I'm making the reference to, is that back in 2019, I had predicted an international conflagration in October, November, and back then I had predicted that humanity is set again towards an international conflagration. I got proof, because I am an independent geopolitical, theoretical analyst and theorist, N.A.C.P. have Asperger's, so my neurodivergence makes me predisposed to special interests, and when it comes to those special interests, it's 24/7 involved in those activities of special interest, of which of course myself have the confluence too, and that's what it is with that. So 24/7 for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. Gotta get it for the go, and I began there with the Confederation Monument as a symbol, because you know I'm calling for the public-private partnership as a philosopher, artist, athlete, the public-private partnership of the fusion of the North American civilizational complex, of which Canada and the United States were part of a confederational complex, or collection of civilizational complex, which of course is not totally divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization. So we have our distinctions, but we're not divorced from Western civilization, you know. We're not distinct, but we're distinct but not divorced from Western civilization. So that's why we gotta get on that rock and roll with that. Buy us a house here. Buy us a house, and that's what it is with that. And that's all we're gonna get doing with that. And gonna wait to pass and consecrate, and that's what it is with that. So here we go. Thank the farmers, and the food producers, the truckers. You see all those goods and see how my mind now works. So now I'm going to explain again what Asperger's is, because I was a bit upset yesterday because somebody said it's an illness, and Asperger's is not an illness. It's just that there's a mutation in my brain. So this mutation in my brain makes me predisposed to special interests, and those special interests can be obsessive, you know. So I just, of course, do geopolitics 24/7, and even now I put that into a geopolitical concordium, that truck going. I know that it's going whatever is going on the road here, but it's going west. I'm going east. So that I know that I'm going east and they're going west. But I don't know exactly what's carrying. Possibility that it's carrying food, which are of course essential for the survival and the continuity of the North American civilizational complex. And that's how we gotta get doing, left and right. Turn your heads, you know. Because sometimes the cars might press the accelerator, the driver might press the accelerator instead of the brake. So that is always something consequentially which one you have to meditate upon. You have to be prudent, you know. Prudence, because I'm in the public, you know. So I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations because I'm marching with other fellow citizens, my brothers and sisters here of Quebec, Canada, and the North American civilizational complex. And what did it do yesterday with the Carney and Trump? I wished will to be there at the table and discuss my DRT theory, debt refusion tree, but calling all wailing, loving to my second home, the mountain, Mount Royal, the headquarters of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, and coast to coast, ocean to ocean for that SSD. Again, Asperger's, to get back to the topic, is I'm an Asper. I have a neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's, and so my brain is different. And so most of our time with intensity, super focus, and concentration, sometimes to the detriment of other activities of the daily life where we can have more difficulties in the interactions, more difficulties in the social awareness, social communications, and ability to maintain long-term friendships or friends, make new friends, yeah, but lose them often, you know. So that is Asperger's, because our brain is different. In a general manner, there's very details, and we tend to be awkward socially and have, you know, weird characteristics. But when it comes to our strengths, whatever those cases may be, when it comes to our strengths, those strengths of course are themselves always showing in different domains for different aspects. Me as an individual has to be part of this tiny fraction of a community, having being less than 1%, less than half of a percent is 0.44% of citizens have Asperger's. So there's not a lot of people in the world that have Asperger's with it, and that's what it is with that. And that's this mental faculties and mental psychic abilities, which of course we have on a daily basis, is of course something which I've taken sometimes for granted. But of course, one of the great books which I recommend is Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome. Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome is one of those books which of course has to be read by all aspects, which I recommend, and I got it as a gift from my anonymous friend, which wasn't my friend because of the money, but nonetheless, that's what I got with that. So that's how we're gonna get doing with that. So that's how we're gonna get that rock and roll, you know. So basically what I was gonna say is, of course, that Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes us predisposed to obsessive interest, also known as special interest. And those interests are of course focused for me in geopolitics. And now when I'm marching, working out is always of course with intensity and super focus. A super focused intensity, so sometimes being the equal, on the equal side with neurodivergence. Watch it here when they cross the street. You cross that side. So always turn your heads left and right when you cross the street, you know. So that here when you cross, gotta turn your left and right, and that's what it is with that. So that's why it's always important to turn your heads left and right before you cross the street, because the brakes malfunction sometimes, you know. Accidents happen, you know. So always be prudent with that. The brakes malfunction, citizen driver presses the accelerator at stressful times. I don't drive. I drive these steel toe boots, you know, but I'm good with the public transit, but that's why on the road, it's super important to be prudent, you know, because you never know, you know. That's why I always say precaution and turn your heads, even if it's the green light. Yes, you know? Exactly. That's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. That's how we gotta get doing. So it's something which we gotta go, and we gotta, when we're on the go, we gotta make our due diligence as citizens, you know. I'm financially stressed. My only stress is financial, because when I work out, train, and exercise, I feel good, and I encourage fitness, and I've been on the fitness journey ever since 2017, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. In 2017, I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, you know. I was depressed and suicidal, and I love a little bit of these flowers here. Nice flowers, man. Nice flowers. I gotta say, this is one of my favorite corners there for flowers. Not a lot, but whatever I got in my right pocket, it's yours. Oh no, it's not a lot, it's a quarter.
A quarter is more than a half.
Let me see. Yeah, for now that's it. I'm stressed financially also, so. You too, man. Anyway, so like I was saying, you know, it's for that rock and roll, and gotta get doing with that, and you know, I gotta say like that, and whatever the case may be, you know, something which we gotta do, and we gotta be meditating, you know, as all fellow citizens like myself, being, you know, stressed myself, but wish I could give a little bit of more change with that, but that's what it is the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the... I found another quarter in the other pocket. In the other pocket. You got from the left and the right, man. Take care. Bye-bye. So I found another quarter, you know. I'm financially stressed, you know, but I guess because I got a little bit of charity, you know, I take food from that place. You see me taking food, you know. So that balances my scales, I guess. Balances the scales, you know, because I get food, you know, from that. And I'm not totally selfless. I don't make pretense to be. I don't make pretense to be, you know. So that's what it is with that. And I don't make pretense that I am, you know. That's what it is. And that's what it is with that. And that's how we got to get doing with that. Give a little bit of charity with that. And we got to get it on the go. And we got to meditate, you know. Let's go, public workers. Love, love, love. Ah, it smells good. I wish I could go take a bite of whatever the food is. Give some charity mayonnaise, Wall Street. Don't be so selfish. And I'm not totally selfless. I like my cake. Eh? I like my cake. I like my cakes. I like my wine. I like my massages, which I wouldn't get in years, but I wish I could afford one, you know. I got a massage therapy session, and that's what it is with that. And, you know, sometimes we just gotta live a little bit of, as much as I am super academic, super intellectual, super philosophical due to my Asperger's, sometimes I explore and I try to be a little bit of not polite, very polite, and sometimes I can be rude and direct. But back to Asperger's again, it's a neurological mental divergent condition, and our brains are different. So an Asp brain has a mutation, has a variation. So we look at the world differently and we experience the world differently, but we are human beings. So some aspects that require more assistance than others, more support. Me, it's usually around things that might seem very simple to others in day-to-day activities, because our special interests might interfere. Our special interests might interfere with our daily activities. So because they take so much time, sometimes I spend hours and hours and hours doing geopolitical theoretical analysis. And of course, everything that I have now, you know, the cell phones, the 3G, 4G, 5G, which of course can be intercepted, and there could be espionage. And we have recently discovered mass espionage for both Canada and United States. So we need to get the DRT, that refusion team. We need to get the Dragon Army for the SSD, Service Security and Defense. For SSD, Service Security and Defense only. That's what we need to do. We need to explore that venue, and we need to be open to the possibilities that we got it, the possibilities that we have it on the go with that. So that's what it is with the love, and that's what we gotta get doing, my fellow citizens. There, I'm gonna cross the street. I'm gonna turn my head left or right and cross the street there prudently. I check double time, and children are happy, joyous, and that brings me a little bit of joy, happiness with that. So we're gonna go all the way on to that. So that's what we're gonna get doing with the love, and they're happy, I'm happy, you know. I don't mind people laughing at me, and that's what we're gonna get doing, and that's what it is with that. And that's what it is, you know. And that's what they're happy, I'm happy with that, and they're joyous and I'm joyous, and we gotta get it on the love, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know, for the youth here, you know, the SSD. So back to Asperger's. Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes me predisposed to obsessive special interest. It's rather utilizing the special interest rather than obsessive, than whatever the case may be. And here the youth are on the love, and that's what they're gonna go get, you know. So something which we gotta get some charity in if you can, and that's what it is. And they gotta get it on the love, man. The youth, you know. For the youth. That's what it is, man. They're happy, safe. I'm happy, safe, and joyous, man. That's what matters, you know. You know? So that's what it is with that. That's what it is, you know. Gotta get it on the go, you know. Anyway, so being Asperger's, having Asperger, being an Asperger, makes that sometimes the communication can be pretty direct and rude sometimes, you know. We can seem pretty rude and direct, and we always obfuscate to go doing on that, and gotta get on some love business, and so we gotta get some love in, you know. So gotta get that love, and love is also... How are you? All right. Let me see. I'm broke, but maybe I got something for you. I'm not sure. Let's see what I got. You're lucky. Gold, gold, gold. Spend it wisely for food only. Okay. No? Okay. Love you. Take care. Stay out of trouble. No violence. No violence. Yes. I don't like violence, I don't like violence, I don't like violence, you know. It's just something I don't like, and I live my own trauma, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. And refuse none is our law, you know. Refuse none. Refuse none, you know. That's the law. And that's what we gotta get doing, you know. Ah well. I guess because I take food, you know, so I could afford to take $1, give $1. But I don't know how I had it because I tried to check for the other one. I guess it kind of appeared, you know. It was, oh, because it was inside my mask. That's why I kept finding it in my pockets. And the $1 was inside my mask. So I said, how come when I was looking for the other person, I wasn't able to find it? And I find only 50 cents in one and 50 cents in the other. So that's just what it is. And what are these? I never had these before. Silkworm. One for me, one for my anonymous friend. And one of these. See, there's food here, so I'm gonna take one of these. Actually, green pigeon peas. One for me, one for my anonymous friend. And I'm gonna leave the rest. So see, you give, you receive, I guess. You give, you receive. So I'm gonna go put that over there in the backpack. And back to Asperger's again. It's not a mental illness. May I ask how much is a cigarette pack? Was busy, I guess. I'm curious how much is a cigarette pack. My fellow citizen smiled and was smoking, and that's what it is with that. But I wonder how much it is, you know, how much it is with that, and that's what it is with that, man. Probably expensive nowadays, you know. Probably expensive with that. Probably expensive, but I don't really know. But here we're gonna pack it up and we're gonna pack it on the go, man. Let's see. We got a little bit of good and put the camera. So I took one for me for my anonymous friend. So these are green pigeon peas. Green pigeon peas from Peru. One for me, one for my friend. The same thing, green. Let me check the expiry date, 2025. But even after the expiry date, it's still good sometimes, you know? It's still good even after that. But this one, I guess, is the production date. Should be the production date. It says for US market only. US market only. November 2023, but it's probably still good. It's silkworms from Korea. I never had silkworms, so it's gonna be a first. Never had silkworms, so I'm gonna disinfect them once I get back home. I'm gonna disinfect them. See? So one for me, one for my anonymous friend. If so inclined to eat, you know. Now put the backpack back on and we drive it. If so inclined, I guess. And that's what it is with that, and that's all we gotta get doing. So very grateful, thankful. See, I got some food, I gave some charity, got some food. So it balances out, I guess, the scales. That's what I'm calling, please, millionaires, billionaires, you know. Don't be so selfish. I am financially struggling, stressed, but I gotta say my gratitude, grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid. Got food in the backpack, got food at home, got some sweets. And play that androgynous pansexual Aspi again. Asperger's is just that my brain is different, you know. So my brain is different, and that's what they come, and that's what they come and go. Friendships, I mean, so friends with benefits only. Friends with benefits only. Friends with benefits only. Friends with benefits only, you know. And you know, it's friends with benefits only, and spread your allegiance, legions, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta go, you know. So always gotta get on the doing side of things, and gotta get it on the love, and gotta get it on the be, and for the cleaning workers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians on the road, you know. They got SE, and we got a lot of work to do, you know, in the North American Collective, and we got a lot of work to do with that, and that's why we got to get meditative and action-prone meditation, because it requires action, eh? My own healing required action, and you know, crossing Canada coast to coast in 2017 really changed my life. Cross Canada 2017. Before that, prior to August and September 2017, summer 2017, I was depressed, suicidal, and moved from a very moldy place. It was like white, black, and reddish green mold. Lots of mold there in the basement on the ground, and I was kind of. My memory's kind of black out before my life prior to moving. Sometimes it comes back, you know. Sometimes it comes back, and it's RA, retrograde amnesia. You see the black cloud there, thunder clouds, front of clouds, and blocking the sun. But I guess sometimes you need a bit of storms, you know. Storms, lightning, thunders happening now. For my brothers and sisters in the 50, you know, you get some big storms. So LOV, let's get that Dragon Army for SSD only, security, service, and defense. So one more thing about Asperger's, again, is we look at the world differently. And so we can be quite intense, concentrated, and super focused. Those words describe best when an N.A.C.P is involved in doing those things which are special interest. And mine are categorized as geopolitics, sports and fitness, dancing being my favorite sport, and of course rock and roll. Sometimes in different orders, but those main three activities or areas of study or areas of action, because working out, training, and dancing requires some of that sweat. And of course the other one being rock and roll with that. So that's what it is, and something which I gotta be on the go. Anyways, I just want to see what is what others know. I thought it was gonna be a clock on the go. Oh, there's no clock there. See above? See a clock there on the go. Oh, there's no clock. That's what it is with that, but there's no clock. I thought it was a clock. No. See, I gotta check my vision again, because I thought it was looking like a clock, you know, but it's actually just a circle without the actual clock in it, unless it was and they took it down. Maybe that's why. I gotta double check, whatever. So again, back to finalize on the Asperger's, being that I'm an N.A.C.P myself, not a mental illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition, and makes N.A.C.Ps predisposed to those special interests. And yes, being less able, less capable, mediocre, average, or so-so at some other things, I am mediocre. I am average. I am so-so. While being mediocre, average, and so-so, and less able and capable of certain things, sometimes simple things, sometimes maybe I even lack a certain common sense, but just got to be told. And you know, I might get a little bit upset and angry, but I don't like violence. I don't like violence, and I live my own trauma. I was attacked by surprise attacked. So I was attacked by surprise in the Montreal metro, and several times before 2017, you know, and hit my head, had a dislocated right arm, went to the Jewish General Hospital, it was replaced. I was put on some meds, and I had a cilium pyrite episode, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing. So maybe that's retrograde amnesia, maybe that's cause of memory loss, maybe that's what caused it, and maybe of course also sickness and disease or other things which might have caused memory loss. Sometimes it comes back, it's caused by a trauma, and it might come back by a trauma. So I live with many scars on my body, all over my body, that I discussed in past videos and hundreds of videos, and I mean, there's nothing to hide, really, nothing shameful about it. But in the past 44 months, I learned to manage my characteristics, because again, there's no medication for Asperger's. It's not symptoms like a malady or an illness, or none of such genre. And I also have to be aware not to utilize too much sophisticated language, sophisticated academic and intellectual language, which is not required, because that is another characteristic, such as repeating things twice, 3 times, or having echolalia, which is repeating the same sentence phrase that somebody might say or utter. So those are characteristics of Asperger's: echolalia, repetition, utilizing intellectual, academic, sophisticated language, and such. So as I think past here by the Masonic Temple and know a little bit of Latin, give some charity. I will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border, and of course, my will to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times. 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. The Caesar Superdome, and the Caesar Superdome is before it was known as the Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz, where one of my favorite top 5 Super Bowls was played. The Hardball Ball was played, aka Blackout Ball was played there. Blackout Ball. Well, my 49ers lost by 3 points, but whatever the case may be, you know, so that's how we gotta get doing, man. Gotta get it on the go, you know, so it's something which you got, you know, something which we got, man, you know. That's how we gotta go, you know. It's on the, and I cross the other side. I think it's better, unless I cross there and then I cross on the other side. You know, we gotta get it on the go. We gotta get it on the love, and we gotta get it on the crossing prudently. I got 11 seconds. I always gotta check, and always double check, triple check, double check, triple check. Something which requires checking constantly to cross the street in a prudent manner, I guess. Prudently and with prudence, and to be in it, kind of. You know, to be mindful of the meditations that we do and the interactions in society and whatever the case may be with that. And that's what we gotta get doing, you know. Sometimes we just gotta do, and we just gotta be. Sometimes we just gotta be, see, and add the D together, and consequently move on to other activities, which sometimes for ass piece, when I'm involved in my marches, my workouts, my training, I am super intense. Super intense. And I gotta wash my hands now because hygiene is important, so I'm gonna disinfect. I'm gonna cross the street and see if I have the disinfectant there. Let's see. And this I'm gonna drop it there, pop. And that's what we're gonna be doing, and crossing the streets prudently and crossing the streets in time, I guess, and making sure that we cross regularly, you know, with prudence. So that is something which we gotta be mindful of, the big cities, you know, of the big cities. And red, my favorite color. And back to Asperger's, as I said, it's not a mental illness at all. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, and makes me predisposed to special interest, and that's all we gotta get doing. And always admire a little bit of that construction work could be done, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. Is I will to build, you know, the forgotten Goddess Temple, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. So and I will to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, you know, to build it, and that's how we gotta get it. So to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. That's how we gotta get it. It's bigger, 11 times bigger than the Caesars Superdome, also known before as the Mercedes-Benz, and to be for sports in perpetuity. And the first inauguration event is gonna be Dragon versus Trump. Dragon versus Trump, Dragon versus Trump. That's gonna be the inauguration event. Me fighting Donald Trump, and this is a beauty. Oh wow. Oh, it smells so good. The most strong scented ever this 2025. Really good job. Thank you, public workers, and those are really nice also, unless it's part of their business here, their business maybe, but it's really beautiful. I really love it. It's so colorful, just like I love these colors, and I love it, the smell. So back to what I was saying, of course, is that we gotta get doing on the drill side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing on the now. And sometimes it takes episodes and adding some more episodes to the series and of my discussions on Asperger's, I meant. And here we got to be prudent, see, because it's one way, but they can come from there fast. So that's why I'm always turning my head left and right, and that's what it is. See, here he's coming. They put the lights, but it's possible, you know, that it's possible, you know, that it is for the go like that. And that's how we got to get doing, man, you know, to get it on the love and getting on the love side of things, you know, to be a little bit of that side of the things here. And here, you know, you can check the architecture sometimes. The architecture seems a bit on the love side, but I'm not sure. Maybe. Oh, maybe not. I'm not sure. But this is kind of indicative of several levels of good art, I guess. And I'm not sure if it's Corinthian, Ionic, or Doric. Corinthian, Ionic, or Doric. Corinthian, Ionic, or Doric. Corinthian, Ionic, or Doric. By the way, cannabis is legal here because I just saw somebody rolling on the smoking. And this is kind of pinkish, eh? Look at that. I don't know, this one I kind of like. Kind of artistic. I'm not sure what it represents, but oh, it's written there on the Love Buzz. Let me check it out. Aaron Curry Love Buzz. This is called Love Buzz, painted aluminum. Gift of Karen Appel of 2025 Fine Arts. That's what it says. Love Buzz. I like it. I don't know. It's kind of trippy, I guess, if you like it, but I guess it's nice. A love buzz, you know. I'm trying to think about it a little bit more artistically, but that's what we're gonna go with that, and that's what we're gonna get, you know. That's what it is with that, you know. And that's what it is, man. I know. Love buzz, I guess. And here's a little bit of architecture. You see, it's 1894. So if you're interested in Montreal architecture, there's very rich, older, because this is from the 1894. So you can see the designs, and you can see how there's an evolution, eh? You can see from the 1800s and to the 20th century and late 20th century, and of course early 21st century. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the Appalachians and gotta be meditating, you know. Here we got another archangel, or not sure. It's called the Eye. Interesting. This is called the Eye. I love this one. I like this one a lot. Anyways, this one's pretty nice. It's called the Eye, so if you're into that, but kind of the architecture of this one you can check for yourself. It's really nice. So Masons, eh? It's all masonry. Masons rock and roll. Masons got a rock and roll from Masons, and all the brains and the muscle. Civilization is a privilege. And my philosophies as an independent geopolitical theoretical honest empirist who lives with Asperger's, again, which is not a mental illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition, makes me of course predisposed to this special interest, and I'm always constantly meditating on geopolitics and the alarm. Today is India and Pakistan, India and Pakistan, India and Pakistan. So that's what it is with that. So being that it's India and Pakistan, we gotta get it for the Middle East area, they gotta get it for those areas which they surround there with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. And to do meditation on that, and we got the appellation on the go, and we gotta get it on the love, you know. And the construction workers to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, you know, to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, because to be 11 times bigger than the hardball ball, you know, the hardball ball, and bigger than the hardball ball where the hardball ball was played, or aka blackout ball. And that's why I need, you know, construction workers to get it on the go, and get it on the go now, you know. So it's something which construction workers, I gotta put something on the table, and gotta put a little bit of something extra on the table, and that it is with that, you know. So put something extra on the table. Kisses, massages, I got trains of kisses, and millions of push-ups, hawk squats, and I'm different. I know I'm different. I've accepted my difference, and friends with benefits only, pledge your allegiance to our family, support the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. With all the pain, the suffering, the struggle, the trauma, I have predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, I have predicted what's happening now. In 2019, October, November, I predicted there's going to be an international conflagration, and so made, created, and produced a workout training program system designed, created, made to go with a workout training program system to go with such an event, and such as an event, of course, as we are seeing now, and we have seen, of course, since late 2020 and 2020, kind of COVID, and COVID revised, and supposedly COVID was engineered in a lab, but we don't really know for sure if the coronavirus was engineered in a lab or not, or whatever the consequential cause of COVID was. It could have been a satellite falling down, it could have been a bacteriological weapon, and I don't know. I believe it was snakes to human beings, but that's all we gotta get doing with the drill side of things. And now, of course, Pentagon and the Canadian Armed Forces gotta focus on this new potential conflict on the horizon, Pakistan and India, which are nuclear armed. So my prediction was that, due to the fact that there was going to be an international conflagration back then in 2019, that there's going to be an international conflagration, that what's that? I don't know. The international conflagration, that of course the international conflagration was going to happen within the next 7 years, starting October, November. So in October, November, of course, the international conflagration kind of occurred and is occurring now, and you know, that's what it is now, and that's what we got to get doing, you know. And we got an RBC bank there, but I don't really need money. I don't really have money. I was just wanting to check how much in the red I am, but let me see if I got a dollar, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So gotta check a little bit of that here. And what is this? Oh man, this one looks nice. That's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So it's to your service. That's why it says à votre service, at your service, and we gotta get that Dragon Army to be create new cell phones for the population and for the Dragon Army, and create the public-private partnership Dragon Army for SSD, service, security, and defense, only for SSD, service, security, and defense. And gotta get that red. Somebody wearing that red, and the favorite color. And gotta think about the butchers, the truckers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those, of course, who are now involved in the production, distribution of food. And that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go. And even now, my brain functions in a manner proponent to a World War III situation. Because what if they launched the nukes? It's possible that they launched the nukes. That's what it is, you know. So that's what it is with that. So it's possible that the nuclear war begins May 8th. My prediction didn't predict a nuclear war, but it predicted an international conflagration based on several levels of analysis. And that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know, to get it on the go. And Gotta check a little bit of this one here, you know. Let's see what it says. I'm not sure for this one. I'm not sure what it is for this one, but oh, there's no name there. There's no name. There could be, but maybe on the side. Maybe on the side. No, not even. Maybe on the other side there. Maybe not. So back to my prediction. My prediction was that there was going to be an international conflagration to get it on the go, you know, to get it on the go, and that is something which we got to get doing with that, you know, and that's how we got to take advantage of life, a moment, you know. I live carpe diem every day, you know. Since I died of COVID in 2020, I survived COVID, and that was my, since then I live every day. I really thought that was my last chapter in life, and since 2020 February, I take carpe diem every day. I don't know what caused COVID. I believe it was snakes to human beings, but I cannot rule out another possibility. Even the CIA revisions is of course that they are more likely, it is more likely to get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing with the Dragon Army for the push-ups, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and that's what it is with that, you know. So gotta go hydrate. Firefighters, butchers, plumbers, nurses, doctors, electricians, carpenters. Gotta go it by the side, and I think there's a running water there, and that's what it is with the running water there. And oh yes, hopefully it runs. I'm so grateful, so thirsty. Oh yeah, man. Yes. Oh, it doesn't work though. I know. Oh no, man. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Avec des illusions, you know. Have illusions in your mind, you know. Sodomy. Well, get it. The need for validation. The Sith philosophy. The philosophy of the Sith. How fragile things are. Oh yeah. So we're entering by another space, by another place. Now the mountain. We're gonna go, see, that's usually where we are. We go up there Up, up, up. Now we're already on the mountain. So we're already on the mountain now. So we're already on the mountain, the three-peak mountain, Mount Royal. Sportist, independent, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, and margin for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food. And that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's the purple, purple, purple. Gotta get out the birth of it, and that's my favorite skyscraper. The pyramid that you see there, that's my favorite skyscraper, usually pointed from above, but even now we're in high altitude, a little high altitude still. So this high altitude is now consequently because we're on the mountain, but the three-peak mountain system has the mountain system, the from the Belvedere Conjuranak up there. We have, of course, on the Belvedere Conjuranak, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So in the Belvedere Conjuranak, we go up, and so you get some architecture here, you know. The architecture here, you know, which is a nice architectural design, and we need to paint it on the red. This could be Dragonomy perfect, and support the dream, pledge your allegiance of this aspie, artist, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, and gotta give some salutation for those service for the water, water service, public workers, and we need to rebuild and restructure all the water services, and we need to fuse via my dream the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a dream, and for a public-private partnership, and I gotta admire a little bit of these. Oh yeah, look at these beauties on the spring, you know. This on the spring, you know. Spring, spring, spring. That's what I bring. Paint on the spring, on the go with fire be. So you gotta give on XYZ, and we gotta give it on the love. See, wow. Smells so good, and that's all we gotta get doing on that. Wow. And I smell them closely. Wow, they smell really, really intense. Just love, 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 love. All these white ears. Oh, they're super nice, and gonna go try to smell them for this one as well. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So nice, man. And that's what it is with that, and that's all we gotta get doing, you know, to get it on the love, and that's all we gotta get doing for the birds, man, and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. That's all we gotta get doing with that, you know. It's something which we gotta be on the love, and gotta smell a little bit of those flowers, you know. Today, carpe diem it. Not today. Today, workout, train, exercise, geopolitics, and feasting on the budget, and writing rock and roll songs. Not today, Dragonomy. Not today. What does that says there? Is that PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder, I guess so. I guess I have some of that, being attacked several times and bullying and trauma and suffer struggle, but I don't like violence. But I am hyper-vigilant, so I created my own workout training program system. I predicted what's happening now. Again, I come back to that, and I come back to that prediction, which of course was it a bit on that prediction side to be, and that's what we gotta get doing on the XYZ. And yes, Crow, I know, pansexual. Yes, I do have lust. I channel it. Sexual energies are to be channeled, you know. If you sublimate and say no, you know, there's many closet homosexuals, closet pansexuals, bisexuals like myself still, even in the NHL. NFL, NBA, MLB are in the army also. In the army, in the police services. I rather, you be honest and say, I'm homosexual, like that I can know, and say I'd rather be fighting next to next, to black or white homosexuals rather than not knowing, So that's what it is, and that's what we gotta be doing, Oh yeah. Wow, see, this is another old buildings here. They're old buildings to get it on the go, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, So it's something which we gotta be interjecting, and we gotta be on the transmission side, to get it on the go, so to get it on the safety and security and the business of pleasure and purpose, for the Dragon Army, and for the Dancing Goddess Army, collaboratively, conjointly, which I'm going to discuss, my call to all willing to loving to the dream. You can read on my YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And your fitness journey begins, starts today, commences today now, and here if we rebuild, we can rebuild for the Dragon Army and Dancing Goddess complex roundabout, calling for, I have trillions of kisses myself, but calling for 333 7-year Canada joint United States trillion budget for the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army via, of course, my DRT, the Debt Refusion TV, which has to be implemented for the North American Collective. I'm going to cross to the other streets, and I'm thirsty. The only thing, I'm really thirsty now, so I guess at the top of the mountain it will be. At the top there's water, running water, so imagine all that work and labor. Civilization is a privilege. Thinking about the firefighters, truckers, butchers, nurses, doctors, bakers, those cleaning workers now, electricians, the plumbers, the doctors. Let's go Wall Street, millionaires, billionaires, give 10%. 10% finance the public workers, those who pick up the garbage, the recycling and the compost. Who pick up the garbage, the recycling and the compost, of course. Give them a little bit of massage therapy session, finance them a massage therapy sessions, and they deserve it, earn it more than yours truly, Although I'm going to take a bath probably today, they deserve it and earn it more than yours truly. So that is something which I got to be doing and got to be meditating about. And I love that red and white go well together. Put a little bit of black in it. So gotta cross the other street because it's closed there, but I should put a sign, so it's okay. I gotta cross on the other street because it's closed on the other side, and gotta get it for the other side to cross the street because they closed their place there. But it should be an indication. Put an indication here so that people don't get confused, especially students, and close that the trottoir est fermé, that the street is closed. They forgot to put it there, but it's okay. It's on the other side, so I guess it's safer that way. It's always good for safety and prudence, but it's just maybe put one in the corner there in the corner so that people don't get confused, so you don't have to always tell them, because that one's turned in the other way, see? And that one doesn't say, but I get to check a little bit of that work for Blantier, and I gotta go get it on that, and she says fine there, and they're working, and got some flowers on the way, especially yellow, which I love, and that's consequently Montreal for you. Marching dance workout, besting a dance move with my head, with my hands, with my feet, with my toes constantly. Not visibly though, so on the camera, but behind the camera it's always dancing. My little clit dick, and always a little bit of those tiny toes and feet, and like a ballerina, ballet style, androgynous, pansexual, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, theorist, and mystic. I was born in the USA 3 times, post 76, twice was born a man, once a woman, served in the United States Armed Forces, 156 years apart, 156 years apart though. So that's what I got to do with that, and that's what we got to get doing, and we got to get doing on this east, west, north, south for the collective, the North American Civilizational Complex. And you can see there, that's a big construction and big building, which of course they got to be complementing, and we got to be on the side of things and on the side of love. Here you can get a little bit of bus, and got to wait for the red lights. And I also am a fan of I'm a fan of cranes, you know. Although that crane is a bit smaller. That crane is a bit smaller. I always try to meditate on how the cranes were built, when they were built, what they can operate, what they can't operate. So it's always a constant thing which I gotta be doing with that. But that one seems to be a medium-sized crane, although I'm always learning about cranes and I love cranes. All right, maybe we can cross on the other side there, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And that's how we gotta get interjecting, you know. So I'm gonna have to discuss the DRT now, the debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory, you know. That's what we gotta get doing. So the debt refusion theory, you know, the debt refusion theory, I'm gonna have to now discuss it. So the DRT, as the black clouds spread, the debt refusion theory is my theory, and it is the only solution or something similar. Again, you can focus all you want and you can say all you want, and you can of course argue, but there's no arguing because of the facts of how much we paid interest. Wow. Wow. Well, they don't smell that, but they don't smell that much. Although I love the yellow, but these don't smell that much. The other ones smell a bit better. Although I like the color, you know, it's very vivacious, very lively, so it always gives me a little bit of joy. So the DRT theory, why do I make that statement that it is the only solution or something similar? Because of course we paid to get it on the go with that, get it on the go with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So being that I paid it on the go, and of course we gotta get doing and turn our heads left and right here. And of course I gotta be taking a step, concentrate, focus, left, right, and that's how we gotta be on the go with that. That's how we gotta be. And that's how we gotta get loving with that, and that's how we gotta get loving with that. So that's what it is, you know, to get it on the go and getting on the know now, to get it on the butchers and the bakers and the politicians and those who get it on the go. This lamb needs get hit by cars. Anyway. What thou searchest thou here? Wacht eens nu. Unconsecrated. What search you here? I don't understand that you're magic. Build the pyramids, you know. Unfold. And I am magic. Gonna check it a little bit of these. Oh yeah, flowers. Let's check it out, man. Oh yeah. Check it out for the flowers, man. What do you want? Piece of dust. I'll give it all to me. What do you want? Give it all to me. Give it all to me. So that's how we're gonna get doing, you know. So basically, the situation where we are now, that we pay 46, we paid last year 46.5 billion, you know, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion last year in interest, of course. That is a staggering amount, 46.5 billion, which we paid, and 46.5 billion is the equivalent of 46,000. That's 46,000 billion, you know, 46,000 billion, which we paid, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So 46.5 billion, that is of course the massive amount of which we paid on the public debt. 46.5 billion last year. Can you imagine that? And that's why it's an emergency in the terms of the financial circumstances where we find ourselves presently. And yes, of course, due to COVID, the coronavirus caused it. So the cause was and is, of course, because it's ongoing, the coronavirus, the COVID virus situation. So basically last year we paid 46.5 in interest. What is this? I like the red and the black and I like the colors. It's like black, pitch black, like my memory from more than 10, 11 years, after I go more than 11 years, and it's like red and yellow, kind of like in the blackness and the pitch, and kind of looks a bit like, could be like hieroglyphs in the back, although I'm not sure, but there we go. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and I'm gonna cross all the way to the, actually I'm gonna go to the top by the lions. So I'm gonna go straight and then cut it by the lions, and here there's a little bit of poetry you can see. And we entered, last time we entered by the middle, then by the north, and now coming from the southeast. So last time we entered from the west, northwest. Now we're entering from the south, east. Now we're entering from the southeast. Last time we entered from the northwest, and the other times run from the middle. And there's a fourth one. Well, there's actually several. There's like 11, but they go in a circle, right? There will be another one from the side, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's why I gotta get that circumstantial. And there it is, Belvedere Condranac at the back, and you know, the mountain, and that's what they're gonna do, you know. So they're gonna be that's what we're gonna be doing with that, and that's what sometimes we just gotta enter the mountain, my second home, by different ways, you know. It's just different ways that we gotta be doing it, or entering, that is. So I'm gonna go sliding by the side, and then we're gonna go by the lines, because I want to discuss the DRT fully, comprehensively, without the interference of cars that much. So the DRT, why do I make this statement? Of course, that the DRT is the only solution, or something similar, though, very similar to my theory. Of course, because we paid last year 46.5 billion. In 2020, 2021, the number was 20.3 billion. Consequently, 20.3 billion. That is 20.3 billion. A billion has 9 zeros, not 7 or 6 or 8. So consequently, the number is monstrous. And yes, due to COVID. So of course, 20.3 times 2, you know, is 40.6. So last year was 46.5. So that equates to 46,000 million. 46,000 million. 46,000 million. Oh yes. That's good. Hug like you never hugged before, you know. I just saw somebody hug and give me some hope. Hug like you never hugged before today. You know, nuclear war might start May 18th. On May 19th, we might wake up to martial law. If nuclear war starts, we have to have martial law, you know. If nuclear war starts, we have to have martial law. I love you too, baby. That beautiful. Hey? What'd you say? I know, we're stupid human beings, you know. We pollute, we take things for granted, nature, civilization, but not all of us. The children and the youth are innocent, you know. Some of them are innocent, you know, and some are not. And Spend your money on. Anyways, so back to what I was saying, the DRT debt refusion TV. So we're gonna take all the public, the DRT TV is the only solution or something similar, and we are on the verge of a public financial collapse due to the fact, of course, of how much interest we paid on the public debt. Interest we paid on the public debt. How much interest we paid on the public debt. That is the 46.5 billion that I mentioned is the interest only on the public debt. And yes, it more than doubled due to COVID, but just like an individual whose interest payments more than double, one has to cut. Let's say in 2020-2021, Citizen X paid $156 in interest. And last year it was 333. So 156 double is 312. 333 is more than double. Of course, more than double. So that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with that. It's more than double. So that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. So that is crazy, you know. Yeah. Yeah. It's your words, motherfucker. That's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing. So 46.5 billion is 46,000 million, and that's what we gotta get doing with the LOV, you know. So that's the point of a collapse, because it's just as an individual, if the interest double, one has to cut and reduce the spending. What are you gonna cut? What are we gonna cut? The individual would have to cut either, you know, smoking cigarettes, giving up the booze, giving up the liquor, giving up whatever the activities on the budget daily life does. Whatever the activities are involved in spending money, there has to be a reduction, right? The same financial mathematical principle applies for the public debt. For the public debt, because our GDP didn't double. Our GDP didn't double. So obviously, of course, if the same mathematical financial principle, which manifests in the same circumstance, that it is the circumstantial preference, that we have a critical point, reached a critical point, an emergency possible that today, Mark Carney comes back. You worked in banking, finance, and banking, Mark Carney, Uncle Carney. What are we gonna cut? In the public services. What are we gonna cut in the public services? The sanitation, those who pick up the compost, the garbage, the recycling. I got 3 services in my neighborhood. The military defense. We're gonna cut the police, security, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, the RCMP, where I served in a past life. Sometimes I was born a man or woman, you get that 50-50 now, and you get the DRT on the table with trillions of kisses, trillions of marching steps, push-ups, hawks, in this beautiful city, majestic city of the North American Civilizational Complex, right from my second home, Mount Royal. You see, look at the beauty. Look at the beauty of the city. Thank you, construction workers. Let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Super Bowl, where the Hardball Ball, aka Black Hard Ball, one of my top 5 Super Bowls, where my 49ers lost by 3 points. Also known as the Blackout Ball or the Bro Ball, one of my top 5. A few years ago, a decade ago, more. And the Forgotten Goddess JDDSS Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple, and of course the Pyramid, House of the Dragon, Scarlet, Crimson, Scarlet, Crimson, Red, and the parallel to that, of course, to be the other one, the Rainbow People's Palace, to be for my fellow LGBTQ community, being that I'm pansexual, and for my fellow neurodivergents, being that I have Asperger's. So that is some things which we gotta be meditating upon, and we gotta be on the transmissive side, and sometimes that's what we just gotta do. So Anyway, so that's what it is now. Just gonna drop some garbage. So actually, I got some more garbage to drop. So there we are by the lions. That's what I said, by the lions. Entrance by the lions, but we're gonna go like that. We're gonna go like really circumvent, because we could go by here, but we're gonna go around about it. And here we're gonna put a little bit of garbage there. It says don't others recycling there. See, we need the DGA to inspect the garbage bins, because of course there's recycling which goes in there, but I don't see any recycling bags actually, so I don't see recycling. I don't see recycling. I don't see recycling anywhere, so that's what we gotta get doing with that. I don't see recycling, so maybe we gotta go doing on that, and that's what we gotta get doing, for the future, because we are here on a point of no return, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get doing on the love side, So something which we gotta get doing on those, So we gotta get doing for the butchers. And here we entering by the side of the blessings. See, it's just like the other ones, but here it shows you where you're entering by this side, just like the other ones that I used to see. When we enter by that side, you see that we're going here. So this kind of gives you the indication where you are situated on the mountain. You can see. So now we're entering by the east north, because that's north, or east south if you will, because we came by south. That's the other way there. So time to take my glasses off, because it looks like a storm is coming. Sometimes the storm, we gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the love side of things, and we gotta get it for the XYZ, and we gotta get it for the do, so something which we gotta get for the love side of things, and we gotta get for that love, man. So the DRT is the only solution. You can argue all you want, but there's no solution but my DRT, or something which closely resembles the debt fusion theory. Well, why do I make that statement? The fact that last year we paid 46, my main out, we paid 46.5 billion in interest. The interest doubled. So consequently, just like an individual whose interest payments double, if the interest payments double, then the citizen, they has to reduce and cut the spending. So there's no solution but my DRT theory or something similar. And inside my DRT, debt fusion theory, is integrated monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is, of course, the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. And look at that beautiful piece of nature, how it's done like that, almost like it's a hand, Like I'm gonna say witch or sorceress, but I'm not a witch and I'm not a sorceress. I'm not a witch, I'm not a sorceress, I'm not a witch, I'm not a sorcerer, I'm a priestess. Dragon, rainbow, dragon, philosopher, artist, athlete, the priestess of Thelema. Priestess of Thelema. So back to the DRT, just so that there's no confusion. So of course, we're gonna have to implement my DRT or something similar. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, including my 10,000. We're gonna convert it to US dollars. We're gonna add it together. And we're gonna add it together coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna have to implement my DRT theory simultaneously. Simultaneously, we're gonna have to implement it for the North American complex. For the North American complex, you know. For the North American complex, you know. You know, so for the North American complex, we're gonna have to implement it. So we're gonna have to implement for the North American complex. We're gonna have to implement my theory for Canada and United States joined simultaneously, because there's no way out of this. So it has to be conjoined, because much of the public and the private financial situation is, of course, the same in the US as well. I encourage my brothers and sisters, fellow joggers, citizens, cousins, and all my great North American Collectif, Quebecer, Canadian family here. You can go by these sides and those sides and that sides, and so many sides by which you can come here to the mountain, my second home. Not just mine, but please don't pollute when you come here, and you can explore. You see so many snakes. By snakes, I mean these trails, because they kind of look like coil snakes. So you can explore the mountain, and there's 3 peaks. So this is Mount Royal proper. The other one is Outremont, and the other one is, of course, Westmount. So back to the DRT. That's what it is with that. That's what it is with the love. And that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So of course, we're gonna take all the public-private debt, Canada, United States, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. So whatever the case may be, we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, you know? All the public and the private debt. All the public-private debt, including my $10,000. That's what I got. That's how they do, man. 10,000, 10,000, you know. That's how we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing on the XYZ, and that's how we're gonna get doing for the lovebirds, you know. My fellow citizens there, that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and so we're gonna get doing for the love, man. Anyways, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get rolling, man. So all the debt, public and private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000, and gonna add it with the United States dollars. United States dollars, we're gonna add it all together. That amount. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000 debt, your 10,000, all of it, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I'm gonna enter by this side, see? I'm gonna start going in the, well actually, no, well, yeah, next ones. So we're gonna take all the debt, public and private debt. So we're gonna implement it Canada, United States. All the public debt, including my 10,000, your 10,000, whatever the case may be. So I have 10,000. We're gonna add my 10,000, your 10,000, their 10,000, your 10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All the public and the private debt of Canada, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that money, we're gonna add it with the US public-private debt. Together, we're gonna create a new central bank, just like they did with the European Central Bank in the 90s. The Germans, they destroyed the national central banks. The Italians, they destroyed the national central banks. The French also. So we're gonna do a new central bank, and we're gonna create the DRT. We're gonna implement my debt refusion theory, which includes monetary integration. We're gonna create a new currency called the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit is going to have the value of the US dollar. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. It could be below 10%, not more. So we can set 3.33, 6.1, 7.7, 9.3, 6.1, 1.5, 1.56, 3.33 below 10 by principle. So that's what we're gonna do. So all that money, all the public and the private debt is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank, And with this money, by implementing this theory, we're gonna mass rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective, the infrastructure, the roads, the aqueducts, the buildings, mass finance the construction building of the 44 tunnels, 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. We're gonna have to finance that, and that's how we're gonna do that with that, and that's what it is, and that's what it is, and that's what we're gonna get doing. And mass finance the North American People's Imperial Coliseum for sports in perpetuities, where my cousin can go jogging, my universities, and can go jogging, can go running, can go working out, can go training, can go exercising, can go the NFL, NHL, MLB, and universities. And we're gonna have sports in perpetuities. We're gonna build it on the Canadian-US border, on the Canadian-US border, and gonna build it on the Canadian-US border, so that's what it is with that. And on the Canadian-US border, we're gonna build it together conjointly, and that's gonna be, of course, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, which is gonna be 11 times bigger than the Hardball Ball, where the arena, the Coliseum, where the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, was played. It's now known as the Caesar Superdome. It was known as the Mercedes-Benz. It changed the names just like I changed names. So it changed names a few times, just like I'm changing my name, a little bit of that. That's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, So we have to implement it, and we have to do, and that's how we're gonna be doing with that. And the DRT is the only solution. You can argue all you want, but we're on the verge of a public-private financial collapse, we're on the verge of public-private financial collapse, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, so we can go, and that's what it is. And I said that's all with that. So the DRT, what is saying there, that's a plantation zone. We've got a lot of plantations. See here, all of it is being planted up and down, planted up and down, and a lot of plantation actually. It can go all the way up, and there's a lot of work to be done, We have to do a lot of work here, so that's why I'm always asking for citizens not to pollute here when you come, because there's got lots of rabbits, flora, fauna, and that's what it is, and that's where we gotta go, so it's something which you gotta keep in mind, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with love, so that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, Yeah, man, the DRT, that refusion theory, and that's what we're gonna do on the love side, So the DRT, that refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange, that's what we have to be implementing, So it's something which we gotta be implementing, and that's what we gotta be doing, because it's possible that we have a collapse. Financial public collapse, Financial public collapse. The public financial collapse is on the horizon due to the interest. The interest is just so elevated that there's no way out of this where we are now. There's just no way out of this. There's just no way. But the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So that's what we gotta be doing with that. Something which we gotta be doing. And we gotta be implementing. So it's always the strategies and the war, and that's what we gotta get doing, Is geopolitics, and part of geopolitics being that I have Asperger's, geopolitics is my kingdom, my domain. I have to do a little bit of studying of course, the public finances. Major point in geopolitics. Public financials, economic, commercial, Some are more credible than others, Numbers, and you got land, and you got the truckers, the butchers, the farmers, the bakers, all that's produced consumption, production, you know, and what's imported, exported. So sometimes you just simplify with all the details. It's import, export, and now we got the trade war. So back to that DRT, debt refusion T. So we're gonna take all the public-private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000, our 10,000, all that debt. We're gonna, of course, convert it into United States dollar. We're gonna convert it into the United States dollars. All that money into the US dollars. We're gonna put it, we're gonna create this new currency called the UE. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. The universal exchange is gonna have the value of the US dollar. So that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the go. You got some rocks here, the rock formations, and see you got different ways to go. But sometimes, you know, I know my ways. I come here for years. It's like my second home, you know. Like my second home here. The mountain is my second home, eh? Yeah, man. So it's like second home here, the mountain for years and years and years in past life and another life, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get down the implementation of the DRT, and that's what I gotta get doing with that, and so I gotta get doing with the love, you know. So something which we gotta be doing on the love, you know. So something which we gotta be doing on the love side. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the you, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing, you know. It's something which we gotta be doing, you know. the debt refusion to the DRT has to be implemented, you know, because again, just like a citizen will have to reduce the budget. So what are we gonna cut, Mark Carney, Uncle Carney? We're gonna cut the police, the prisons, the sanitation, the sanitation or the healthcare. It's just the number is just hardcore, to use a rock and roll song. It's just hardcore. It's just hardcore. The number in the public debt is so high that of course we have in the public debt that we have it, and of course it has been elevated and became so high, you know, so high with that, so high. So that is just the fact of what it is. That's what it is, and that's what we gotta get going all the way up. All the way up. All the way up, all the way up, you know. All the way up, man. Something which we gotta be doing. All the way up. So the debt refusion TV, DRT. The debt refusion TV. The debt refusion TV for the creation of the UE. The Universal Exchange Unit is the only way. There's no way out of this. We're on the verge. Today could happen 7th of May. Tomorrow, nuclear war might commence May 18. May 18. Nuclear war might commence May 18. Before or right after. You know? It's a possibility, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing for the love, you know. Something which we gotta get drilling with that, you know. So something which we gotta be on the love, you know. To just administer and pledge your allegiance for the creation of the DRT, debt refusion theory. I'm wondering if I could escalate this and go up like that. It's probably feasible, but I will need some hardcore shoes, you know, to go up like from this side. Yeah, by there I guess there's a trail somebody tried or constantly does, but I could do it probably. In theory it's feasible, but you're gonna have to be a little bit of different shoes, or you know, like anyways, what I do know is my debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE is a must, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and gotta get on the implementation, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing, and that's all we gotta get implementing, you know. The debt refusion theory. That is what it is. for the creation of the UE, universal exchange. That's just how mathematical finances work. The principle of mathematical financial principle is that, of course, we have to cut something. Over there. In the public and in the private, the same principle applies. You can see that's the east. And you can see, I guess, part of the river a bit. Part of the river from the mountain. That's what it is with that, and that's all we gotta get doing with that. You know, so that's the river. Saluting the sailors, and that's what they gotta be doing on the salutation of the sailors, man. Sailors on the boats. Sailors. The nurses, daycare workers, LOV to the daycare workers changing diapers. Electricians, plumbers, firefighters, daycare workers. Gotta salute for them, and we have to implement the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, of the universal exchange unit, and gotta get that loving and switch to that French because we liable, Privee. So that's how we gotta get love inside of things, and we gotta be implementing that love, man, and do some action for the collective, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that's how we gotta get that loving with that. Because sometimes you just gotta meditate and be, and gotta give it for the LOV, and that's what we gotta get doing on the shake it, you know. So it's always shaking it, it's always baking it, and it's always cooking somewhere in the world, especially in the fast food now. If I meditate, how many sandwiches are being cooked now? How many sandwiches, or not just sandwiches, but of course not just sandwiches, but of course not just sandwiches, but burgers, fries, pizzas across Canada and United States, because I am for the unity thereof via public-private partnership. So my DRT, debt refusion theory, So that's what we have to be doing, and that's what we have to be doing now, and we have to be conglomeration, and we have to be fused and get rid of the border and create a common currency, common passport, build those 44 tunnels with the DRT and the creation of the UE, the implementation of my DRT theory. We're going to be able to do that, to rebuild the aqueducts, the bridges, the North American infrastructure. Much of it is about to collapse. This needs for the DRT is a must, and you know, we're gonna have to do this major implementation and create the Dragon Army, aka North American Imperial People's SSD Legion, Service and Security and Service Legion, Service and Security and Service Legion, Service and Security and Service and Security and Service and Security and Defense for the SSD principle, SSD Legion, and that's how we're gonna get doing for the SSD, Service and Security and Service and Security and Defense. And of course build those 44 tunnels inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and in case of a thermonuclear war, which might happen May 18th, before or after May 18th, is something which can be sometimes delayed, sometimes closer than we think, you know. Sometimes they said a lot of things we said, hey, never, and until it happens, you know. So we get start building those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, man. Pledge your allegiance to our family here on the mountain, and I guess it's starting to rain a bit, so it won't be a long one. It's gonna be until the top, and then we gotta get doing on that, you know. So something which we gotta get doing with that, you know, to love it on the go, and for the truckers, the bakers, the butchers, and the nurses, the doctors, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. So something which we gotta be implementing, you know. So something which we gotta be on the mark for the loving, and for those, of course, who get it on the go, and for the butchers, the truckers, the nurses, and the firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and those nurses, and bakers, and truckers, and plumbers, and daycare workers changing diapers. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and you know, build those 44 mass finance citizens fitness We're going to mass finance citizens tourism because it does great for mental health and for establishing a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Quebecers, Canadians, or my family. And we're going to get that LOV as we're going to get on that moving side and going to continue. I guess part 2 is going to have to be filmed underground somewhere unless we go deep inside, unless the rain stops, and getting on that wet and getting on the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, build 44 tunnels, construct them, and get the building finance, get rid of the border, do a great census, a great North American census, see everybody who's been living here since 2020, 2017, and 2015, and to see if they're eligible to serve in the position. And that's what we gotta get doing like that. So that's what we gotta get on the love, That's what we gotta get doing for the lovers. So we need to do a census. We need to do a census. We need to do a census with that, and you need to do XYZ, and guess what it is with that, So that's what it is with that, man. So the dedie fusion theory for the creation of the UE, of the universal exchange in it. That's what we gotta get loving with that. And we're gonna go up by this side and I guess pledge your allegiance and chant some of those cadence and make it all the way up. And that's what we gotta go doing now. See, sometimes we go down by here, we come up, and now we're gonna go on the reverse and go on the other side, man. Here we go, stretch a bit. Stretch those legs. There you go, up. Oh yeah, gotta get it up and down, and that's what it is, man. Gotta get on the foundation, Stretch, and somebody left their glasses. Their glasses to see. I have to check my vision again. They're not mine, but we can go to see, check it up, and there's a place upstairs, to get it on the go. And there we go for the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, to get it on the love side of things. And I guess somebody being on the love, on the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the grocery store clerks, and all those involved, in the production, distribution of food, to get it on the dough. I wish I could paint these stairs, some painting, because they're, I guess, some color, have to be some blue, some purple, I don't know, some blue, some red, all the stairs. Anyways, dedie fusion theory for the creation of the UE, the DRT, the dedie fusion theory for the creation of the UE, and that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing step by step. Anybody want to finance $300? I go up and down these stairs a few times. $300 for 44 up and down, or 3 hours of going up and down. Actually, you know what, an hour. This is 100 there. Makes me think of my workout, the general integrated total body training system, aka the Dragonomy workout, to get it on the go. And that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get on the love, Oh yeah, I feel good. So that's what we gotta get on the mobile, and gotta get it for the love. So it's always interesting and always good to get up and down these stairs a little bit, and I love to see my fellow citizens when they come here. And there's many ways to enter, eh? Many ways to enter. Sometimes you enter by which side, or you enter by the east, the west, the north, the south. You got a little alien there. I think that's cute. Somebody put a little alien sticker. I think that's kind of cute. How would you know if you're an alien, you know? If you're born here, and I guess you wouldn't know until they come say, hey, we're your real parents. What? You know, kind of crazy movie idea that gave me right now, but it's something which you gotta meditate upon. So, because I saw that alien and I said, how would I know, you know, if I would be like in a body, human body, you know? Yes, maybe one day, you know. Crazy movie idea on the spot, and I'm an artist and gotta get it on the love, you know. So, something which I gotta meditate, you know. It's like, that is something which we gotta be meditating, and that is something which we gotta love with that, and gotta go up and down. That's what it is, man. Oh yeah, it's coming up and down, you know. That's what it does. That's what you gotta do. Here we go left and right, and we're gonna get it on the go, you know. Oh yeah, look at that, man. So we gotta get doing, you know. It's something which we gotta, man. You know, but good exercise for the body, for the mind. That's why we gotta get on that rock and roll, you know. So it's something which we gotta be doing, you know. So something which we gotta see, and that's why what it is, and that's what it is here. And gotta get it on the X and on the right and on the left, and the Montreal, you know, to get it on the site, and to get those workers in the public, and we're changing aqueducts, the sewers, the bakers, the nurses, the electricians, the grocery store clerks, always for the truckers, those train conductors. Gotta choo a little bit of rock and roll for them. And so you got some white flowers there, see? Here's our spread all over the mountain. We opened up even more than yesterday. Those ones. So they are all over atop the mountain there, see? Those white ones. See, if you can channel. See there, that one? If you can see there. If you can see there. I don't know what their names are. They kind of have a scent. See? There they are. Yeah. So all these white ones, there's a field. There's a big field of these white ones there, all over. So there's a little field, and in the back. So if you're interested into flowers, I guess, you can come. If you like flowers like I do, you can come check the mountain. And those white ones, in yesterday's video vlog, you seen a marching dance workout vlog yesterday, you see the field at the back. Maybe we're gonna go get it for that. So we're gonna go get it for the love, you know. And because I love flowers, but yellow are my favorite. And here we are, you know. We gotta get it on the XYZ. And that's how we gotta get for the drill. And we're gonna get it for that love, and butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and grocery store clerks, and those involved, you know, production, distribution of food. And here we are atop the Belvedere. So first things first, HYDRATE, Dragon Army, HYDRATE, Dragon Army, HYDRATE, Dragon Army, HYDRATE, Dragon Army, HYDRATE, Dragon Army. HYDRATE. So we made it to the top of the mountain for the hundreds and thousands of times, and here we go. I'm giving it a United States flags with the Dragon Army flag there at the top. The Dancing Goddess Army also, DGA, Dragon Army. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the rock and roll, you know. Here we go. Gotta get that 50 states plus 10 plus 3, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So something which we gotta be. something which we gotta be on the go, and that's all we gotta get doing, you know, as we are here. Belvedere, conjure neck, at the top, to get it on the love. So here we are, here we go, and that's the water Vasa. Gotta give another glass, you know that I sing and thicken on the thick holes on the go. You know that rock and roll on the road, so that we clear up and down as we go. With the backpack, got it on. We need to do a little bit of that rock and roll French, because we're not Belle Province, but we need to hydrate the DRT, the transfusion to your best, and oh yeah, we gotta get doing on the go, and something which I gotta be loving, man. Oh yeah, that was a nice ascension up, super nice. Now we're gonna get on water. It's all the work, labor to build the water there, and that's all we're gonna get doing. Hydrate. Oh yeah, oh yes, that was really good. So imagine all the workers who built on the work, labor to build all that, and that's what we're gonna get doing for the builders, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters. We're gonna get that in. Let's go. Sing it for the harmony, and that's what we gotta get loving, and that's what we gotta get doing on the lights, you know, the lights, rock and roll, and love it on the go, and somebody wearing that red a bit, and sometimes, you know, I come here, it's like winter, it's just me, and there's nobody, it's like winter storms, there's a big winter storm, I come and like, it's just me. You see some videos. But anyways, now I see there's people, but they got a bit of that umbrellas and starting a bit of that rain. So I guess I better just keep the camera close to my body like this, the closest. And that's what it is for the closest, and that's what they gotta get doing for the labor and the body. And you need to put that states also for the 63. The Dragon Army, you know, the Dragon Army to get going on that, and the Dragon Army, you know, to get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, you know, for the love and for the do, and for the bakers, butchers, nurses, doctors, and that's what it is for that love, you know. So that's what it is, and here we are, you know. Just bounces off, you know. There we go. That's the wipe.
Like, right. I would agree. I think that, like, I now know him so well because we work together so much that, like, knowing so much about his upbringing is, like, amazing. Oh my god, like, his dad doesn't know. Does not know his mom. Mom never wants him.
That's what it is, and here we are. That big. Let's go for the French because we're in la belle province, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get that rock and rolling, man. Hey, for the French because we're in la belle province, bienvenue. Vous êtes. Hey, c'est la montagne québécoise et québécoise pour le faire. Et pour le faire, une chanson bien claire de chez nous de la belle province pour que ça soit bien mordial, bien, puis ça lance pour que ça fasse bien. Pour le faire de la montagne, on est rendu au sommet. Et c'est ça pour le faire, pour le faire, pour le clair. Pour le faire, pour le faire. Pour le voir de l'histoire. Encore. Une chanson qu'on commence. Zone de présentation pas claire. Québécoise. Et on est sur la montagne pour le faire, voir un verre. Et vous savez que c'est le rock&roll 24/24. Fait que j'étais inspiré de commencer par une chanson de rock&roll de la montagne. Pour le voir zone. C'est le rouge, c'est la montagne. Le dragon en arc-en-ciel. Pour le faire, pour le faire. Pour le faire bien clair. Belle province, bien. Regardez ça chatouille, mais ça coule de la rivière. Québécois et Québécoises, je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique a été vraiment ma thérapie de choix, et donc en vous encourageant de faire l'entraînement physique comme moi-même je le fais. Et s'il vous plaît, tenez compte que je suis en situation de crise financière, mais je suis ouvert pour les affaires, l'amour, puis c'est prêter allégeance légion, bien sûr. C'est la chanson pour le faire, de la clarté, pour dire 2-3 chansons, pour les chansons au chatouille, ou de l'analyse, de la théorie en rock&roll. C'est ça que j'ai bien sûr le plus. Et bien sûr, pour voir qu'il y a des gens qui font de l'exploration de la montagne, puis moi ici c'est la montagne, ici c'est le champ, on va passer par le côté, puis je rentre par l'autre bord, mais là il y a les citoyens aînés qui sont ici, là. Puis j'ai passé par l'autre bord, comme ça ici, par le bord ici, tasser pour les voir les tourner. Fait qu'on va rentrer ici, là, dans la montagne, il faut le faire, puis je vais rentrer par l'autre bord, là. Il faut faire attention parce que ça tombe hein, d'en haut. Là. Ça vous aventurez dans la montagne, il faut faire attention. Là. Je les avise, je pense qu'il y a un guide, mais pour leur dire, s'ils sont en dedans, là, pour soyez prudents, tu sais. Soyez prudents en dedans quand même, là, si vous rentrez, je sais pas. Vous êtes dans la forêt, hein? Vous êtes dans la sagesse. S'il y a de la sagesse dans le sauvage, vous êtes plus. vous êtes pas dans le gratte-ciel ici, là. Faut que vous soyez attentifs, là. Vous êtes pas ça. Vous êtes plus dans la civilisation, là. la forêt, mes chers, ici. Fait que faire attention que je vous gratine, et bien sûr pour le faire, dans le chemin de fer pour mes concitoyens, les aînés, là. Puis moi, j'ai aimé ça travailler dans des CHSLD pour le faire, tu sais, c'est quelque chose que moi aussi, ça prend le temps de le faire ici, là, c'est quelque chose que je dois le dire moi-même, tu sais, j'ai de la difficulté en social, là, avec les gens, à faire des interactions, tu sais. J'ai mieux de chanter Rock&Roll parce que je suis bon à ça, mais avec l'Asperger, l'autisme fonctionnel, j'ai pas ben de finances, du stress financier j'en ai, je veux dire, mais à cause que mes finances, j'ai été affecté pas mal à cause de l'Asperger. Dans ma communauté, les autistes totalement fonctionnels, il y a un autre, tu sais, c'est haut, là, le niveau de chômage chez les Aspi comme moi, puis moi, c'est une petite minorité, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Aspi, là, pas beaucoup d'Asperger, c'est 0,44, 0,5, 1%, c'est 1%, là. Moins d'1% de la population, même pas la moitié d'1%, même pas 0, c'est 0,44. Regardez les petites fleurs blanches, si vous pouvez les sentir. Puis ça, j'avise les gens toujours quand ils viennent ici. Là. Mais tantôt, j'ai vu qu'il y avait un guide, fait que je pensais que le guide, d'après ce que j'ai entendu, était un peu superficiel, là, mais parce qu'il sortait de la forêt. S'il aurait rentré dans la forêt, je l'aurais vu dans l'entrée, mais vu qu'il sortait de la forêt, ben, je dis, ben, ils vont prendre le chemin principal, là, fait que je ne vais pas les avertir, mais sinon, je les avertis, hein, parce que je dis, ben, faites attention aux branches parce que ça tombe, vous voyez. Puis il faut mettre quelque chose là au coin, quelque part, les coins des entrées, on pourrait mettre. Je voulais faire du bénévolat, mais là, je suis en attente, j'attends les bénévolats, puis c'est puis ça, puis. Je sais que je suis bizarre, je suis étrange, je suis différent. Je sais cette différence avec l'Asperger, c'est parce que je suis pas partie d'une petite communauté. Hein. C'est une petite communauté de neurodivergents qui ne pensent pas la même chose. Moi, je vois le monde différemment. Fait que je suis différent. C'est pas une maladie mentale. Hier, j'étais un peu frustré parce que un citoyen, je parlais de l'Asperger. Je l'ai avisé que je vis avec cette situation de neurodivergence qui est l'autisme fonctionnel. La personne a dit, ah oui, je sais, c'est une maladie. J'ai dit non, c'est pas une maladie, là. C'est une condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait que mon cerveau, il est différent. Fait que cette différence, cette mutation dans le cerveau, ça fait que j'ai des intérêts spéciaux, puis ces préoccupations, ça prend avec intensité. Moi, là, quand je fais mes marches, quand je fais l'entraînement physique, je suis super dedans, super concentré, super intense. Quand j'analyse, je fais des analyses puis de la théorie en géopolitique. Aussi, la géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt principalement, l'intérêt spécial ou intérêt obsessif. Je peux pas m'en passer. Des fois, à minuit, j'en fais. C'est 24 sur 24. Même maintenant, des fois, je marche puis je mets dans un contexte de la géopolitique réelle. Qu'est-ce qu'on vit maintenant? Situation là, avec le Pakistan puis l'Inde. C'est possible qu'il y ait une bombe nucléaire. C'est possible qu'il y ait une bombe nucléaire. C'est possible qu'il y ait un armement. C'est possible, là. Tu sais, dès le 18 mai, là, qu'il y ait une guerre nucléaire entre le Pakistan et l'Inde. Les deux ont des armes nucléaires. Si ce conflit-là conflagre, il y a une conflagration, puis ça, j'avais prévu en 2019, hein, je reviens toujours, en octobre 2019, j'avais prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment, en octobre et novembre, j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment, en octobre et en novembre. Je l'ai prévu. J'ai dit, ben, c'est sûr qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale sur l'horizon dans les 7 prochaines années. Puis ça, c'était en octobre-novembre 2019. C'est ça qui arrive. Avec toute la souffrance, les cicatrices, la perte de mémoire, parce que ma mémoire, il y a comme une amnésie, là, si vous me demandez. C'est comme, tu sais, je me souviens, 7 années, là, 2017 avant, 2016, 2015, 2014, ça devient comme un blackout, j'ai de la misère à accéder les mémoires d'avant. Ma vie avant, quand j'ai déménagé d'une place, j'habitais un sous-sol, souterrain, où il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures où j'habitais. Je me suis fait attaquer par surprise. J'ai tombé, je cognais ma tête sur le ciment dans le métro à Montréal. J'avais mon bras disloqué. Il était disloqué, le bras droit. Là. Je suis allé à l'hôpital juif général. Et regardez, ben des fleurs blanches. Je suis allé à l'hôpital général juif. Ils m'ont replacé le bras, là. j'étais mis sur des médicaments, puis j'étais comme dans un coma. C'était comme dans un coma pendant un couple de jours, là, un petit coma, là, puis j'avais mon propre épisode de pirate civilisation, je veux dire, mais... Puis avant ça, ma vie, c'est comme... je sais que j'ai grandi... j'ai secondaire, là, ça fait un bout, là, mais... Sur la Rive-Sud, là, j'étais au secondaire, là. J'ai habité ici, à Montréal, puis j'ai fait bien du travail, j'ai eu bien de l'emploi que j'ai bien aimé, mais... encore une fois, l'Asperger, c'est pas facile pour... Je dois toujours bâtir, construire des ponts, parce que des fois, je suis direct, honnête, même si puis bien des années, je cultive là, la politesse, puis l'amour de l'autrui, puis tout ça, mais nous, tu sais, on est différents dans comment qu'on... Les choses sociales, mettons, tu sais, l'espace personnel, on va s'approcher à 2-3 pouces des personnes quand on leur parle, là, tellement proche du visage, c'est des choses qui sont étranges, la belle petite fleur blanche, c'est des choses qui sont étranges, tu sais. Pour des gens, ils vont avoir l'intimidation, mais moi, j'aime pas la violence pantoute, je n'aime pas la violence, hein. Je n'aime pas la violence. Je suis hyper vigilant, je vis dans cette mode de Troisième Guerre mondiale. Aujourd'hui, le 7 mai 2025, je suis en crise financière, en stress financier, mais je dois dire la gratitude. J'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité. Fait que c'est quand même un bon commencement, un bon début pour aujourd'hui, la première semaine de mai, là. Fait que j'ai même du chocolat chez nous. Tantôt, j'en ai pris dans le sac. Je vais voir c'est quoi, mais j'ai jamais mangé ça. C'est, je pense, c'est comme des petites bébites, mais c'est pas vraiment des bébites, là. Mais je peux pas dire des bébites, là, mais c'est quelque chose que j'ai jamais mangé. Fait que je suis bien curieux de voir de quoi que ça goûte, là. Ça goûte quoi? Fait que ici, je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique. La montagne, c'est chez nous, c'est ma deuxième maison. Fait que j'envisage toujours, puis j'encourage toujours les gens parce que moi, j'ai commencé mon conditionnement physique en 2017. C'était quand j'ai sorti de ma dépression en 2017, en octobre, en novembre. J'avais traversé, mais non, correction. En août et en septembre 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte et cet événement dans ma vie, ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression. J'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada et même le Collectif de l'Amérique du Nord en tant que philosophe. Vous savez que je discute souvent du collectif de la civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord ou la civilisation du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc ici, les Québécois et Québécois, le Québec, au Canada, on a fait le grand compromis linguistique du français puis on continue à le faire, mais c'est mon effort individuel. Si moi, je ne fais pas l'effort aussi pour le français, puis encourager les autres à écouter peut-être une petite chanson Rock&Roll du Québec, à consommer des produits du Québec, des saucisses, du fromage, de la bière, du vin aussi, on a de tout, tu sais, quand même, des gâteaux, de tout ça, puis bien sûr, de regarder un peu de cinéma québécois, là. Pas juste bon cop, bad cop, là, mais c'est mon préféré, là, mais celui-là, il est du haut, hein, c'est français, anglais, un peu, pas mal sur l'anglais, mais c'est quand même quelque chose que j'encourage les gens, tu sais. Fait que, pour dire ça, que je vis avec cette condition de neurodivergence, mon cerveau, il est différent, il y a une mutation, il n'y a pas de médicaments, là, pour les Asperger, il faut... Moi aussi, j'ai besoin de soutien dans certaines choses, je suis médiocre dans certaines choses, je suis comme ça, je suis pas bon dans certaines choses. Mais quand ça vient à la géopolitique, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique ainsi qu'un artiste athlète. Et bien sûr, la géopolitique, c'est 24 sur 24. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2017. Correction, en 2019. En 2017, j'ai sorti de ma dépression, puis j'ai fait bien du travail, des philosophies, là, de l'interprétation, puis mes philosophies sont pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Parce que j'aurais dû être là hier, parler de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Puis moi, mes théories, mes protocoles pour la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé sont l'armée de la déesse qui danse, la Ligue de danse de l'Amérique du Nord intégrée avec l'armée du dragon, soit pour les légions de la défense, pour les légions, les 63, les 50 États des États-Unis, les 10 provinces et 3 territoires, pour les 63 du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, du royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, qui est fondamentalement mon rêve pour la création de ces nouvelles institutions de partenariat public-privé par l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose que je dois le faire, je dois faire l'implémentation moi-même, puis je dois l'expliquer moi-même, puis même que je vis une crise financière, puis encore une fois, ça vient du paradoxe de cette malédiction, je veux dire, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, aussi connu comme l'Asperger, que J'ai perdu beaucoup d'emplois, j'ai perdu beaucoup d'opportunités financières, j'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis, des amis avec bénéfice seulement d'aujourd'hui pour demain, des amis avec bénéfice seulement d'aujourd'hui à demain, des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Vous savez à quoi vous attendre. Je sais, j'aime pas la violence, je suis hyper vigilant, puis j'ai mes théories, mes philosophies, puis mon rock&roll. J'ai vécu, tu sais, avec... j'ai pas été... j'ai souffert, je vis avec mes cicatrices, ma perte de mémoire, mais tout ce que je vis maintenant, c'est la montagne. J'adore venir ici, c'est ma deuxième maison. J'adore ça, faire du matchmaking, c'est voir les gens qui s'embrassent, qui se donnent des câlins, des coupes. Puis je salue les camionneurs, les boulangers, les infirmières, ceux qui changent les couches dans les garderies. Je leur envoie un petit mot d'amour, un petit rock'n'roll. Puis les travailleurs publics qui changent les aqueducs, les travailleurs publics, les pompiers, les boulangers, tous ceux qui font de l'entraînement physique ailleurs, ici, du collectif, les 9 millions de Québécois, plus les 40 qu'on est rendu avec les États-Unis aussi, il faut faire l'union, on n'a pas besoin de la frontière, tu sais. On n'a pas besoin de la frontière, vraiment. C'est mieux qu'on soit sur la sécurité et la défense de côte à côte, parce que c'est par les ports et les aéroports, aéroports principalement de côte à côte, et les aéroports intérieurs, là, à l'intérieur du Canada, puis du Québec, puis des États-Unis, là, parce que les ports, ben, c'est sur les océans, là, les grands lacs, les océans d'Atlantique et le Pacifique. Fait qu'il faut méditer à ça. Puis moi, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique indépendant, encore une fois. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. Fait qu'en 2019, j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. J'ai prévu la situation actuelle. Je l'ai prévu. J'avais fait une prédiction. Et je l'avais prévu. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. En 2019, je l'ai prévu. Ça fait un bout, là. Mais j'ai prévu ça. J'ai prévu qu'il y aura une 3e guerre mondiale. Pas tout à fait comment il se passe maintenant, mais j'avais prévu, pour la coronavirus que j'ai eu puis j'ai survécu moi-même, ça je sais pas. C'est peut-être, c'est comme la CIA vient de faire une révision de la couple de semaines, c'est peut-être une révision. C'est peut-être une révision, tu sais. C'est peut-être une révision, tu sais. C'est peut-être une révision. Fait que cette révision-là, mais ça fait bien sûr qu'on a cette constance-là, tu sais. Mais moi, comme je dis, mais je sais pas. Premièrement, je pense, moi je l'ai eu la COVID, hein, je pensais que j'allais mourir, là. Je pensais que c'était mon dernier chapitre, la COVID. Je dis, la coronavirus, ça m'a frappé fort, c'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. Je dis, qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Quelque chose, je savais pas c'est quoi le coronavirus, on ne parlait pas aux nouvelles quand moi j'ai commencé à me sentir malade. À peu près en mi-février. Tu sais, après le 11 février, là, jusqu'à mi-mars, je commençais à me sentir malade. Puis après ça, en mars, j'ai dit, c'était la coronavirus que j'ai eu. Fait que j'avais survécu, je me suis fait 3. J'ai pris 3 vaccins, fait que je suis vacciné, mais juste 3, là. 3, c'est correct. 3, j'en ai eu assez avec ça, mais je garde quand même le plus possible. Tu sais, les protocoles de sanitation publique, là. Tu sais, dans le public, les microbes, les bactéries, les germes. On se lave les mains. C'est quand même quelque chose que je dois quand même y tenir, là. J'encourage les gens parce que, tu sais, c'est une bonne chose, tu sais, des habitudes. Les habitudes à garder quand même, tu sais, c'est des habitudes qu'il faut qu'on garde. Tu sais, parce que c'est des habitudes, là, qu'il faut garder, tu sais. Parce que si c'est pas des habitudes qu'il faut garder, mais c'est des habitudes, bien sûr, qu'il faut quand même avoir à faire. Puis c'est quelque chose de bon. Puis, tu sais, parce qu'il y a des bactéries, des microbes, des germes. Fait il faut faire la gestion de ces choses-là. Avec les bactéries, les microbes puis les germes, c'est des choses, bien sûr, que moi-même, je dois le faire aussi. C'est me laver les mains, puis me désinfecter. Puis c'est quelque chose que je garde, là. Les protocoles, je pense que c'est une bonne affaire qu'on ne devrait pas... Et je vais juste couvrir mon sac un peu. On va aller là, puis je vais juste couvrir mon sac. Parce que je peux le couvrir ici, dans le fond, là. Ou je vais me mettre là, ici. On va mettre là-dessus. Parce que il mouille, fait que je veux pas mouiller trop. Là. Déjà, je suis un peu mouillé, mais merci à mon ami anonyme. Je vais mettre ça sur le dos